Who's sorry now? I am, definitely. I've got buyer's remorse. So this is the Lumens CL511. And I thought that this, would be having a Sony CMOS sensor, would be a killer image camera, or visualizer, people sometimes call them. But I put it up against the Birddog Maki Ultra in a zoom test, and it was woeful. It was terrible. It was haunting. Whereas the Maki was focusing at 0.2 seconds nearly every time. At the moment, the image you can see there is with the Birddog Maki. That's a remote for it. And I don't even want to do a comparison test between the Lumens 511 and the Birddog Maki, because I'm too disappointed to. So I've definitely got buyer's remorse. The software you're supposed to run in conjunction with the Lumens CL511 is the Ladybug. But you put all your USB ports in where they're supposed to go, and the software doesn't recognize it. The camera and the software are not working. And it's the latest Ladybug software. So you can't even use the software with it. And when you're using the remote control for the Lumens, it is so slow. It has to think about everything it does, whereas the Maki is very, very sure. And if you zoom in and out, it's rapid. You've got a slow and you've got a fast zoom on it. But with this, you get a very, very cumbersome, and I mean cumbersome, zoom in there on that one, zoom out, brightness, but it's slow. It brings up a little menu and then you go in really slow, like little increments, instead of it being responsive. So all I'm saying is, I'm bloody sorry I got it. It's a lot of money for a camera which is, nowhere near as good as the Maki. But people in the teaching and college profession will say, well, this is supposed to be used with a whiteboard, an interactive whiteboard. Well, maybe so. But, it does say, I've been through all the documentation, that you can use it even without a computer, into a monitor. But when you use it on the computer, you want at least the software that they recommend, the Ladybug, to actually work. And it doesn't. It doesn't even recognize the lead, the USB lead. So I'm just really disappointed. I'll keep hold of it and maybe I'll put it downstairs and mount it to the ceiling. But all I can say is that if you want a camera that will give you a 4K at 60 frames a second, a killer image like this, then you can't go wrong with the Birddog Maki Ultra. And they've got two versions. You've got a 12 times and you've got, I think it's a 20 times. So you've got two options. Whereas the Lumens, it seems like it's a few years old now. They haven't really been updating anything on it. And I'm really, really surprised at a company like Lumens. I thought they had good engineers. Well, maybe they do to certain professions, but this is not ideal. This is not as good as camera as the money in which they're asking for it. I think that they're actually asking far too much for this camera and for its capabilities, because you can get cameras half the price of this that you can use in your studio for purposes of content creation, and half the price of this. So they've overpriced this camera because they were trying to sell it to the schools, colleges and university market. That's why they've overpriced it. So a consumer who doesn't belong to those professions, who has a use for this, will still have to pay top whack for it, and then he'll soon be left basically with egg on his face, realizing that he should have spent his money elsewhere, that these lumens are just not as good as you think. And that's now going to stop me getting anything else from this company. My first choice now will be Birddog, definitely. And lumens, goodbye. I'll find a use for it yet, but like I say, nowhere near as good. I mean, just look at the clarity of this when I go in. And if I was to do that with the lumens, it would start hunting. And if you go in too much on the zoom with the lumens, it completely loses it. It can't find it again. I mean, what kind of a terrible engineering company makes a camera that does that? Whereas Birddog knocks spots off them. So you can go in really close, and as you're going in, it's continually focusing. How come Lumens couldn't get that right? Why bring a camera out to a market where you know it's not fit for purpose? And I'm sorry, but it's overpriced. Damn it, I'm sorry I got it now. Have to see if I can contact Lumens headquarters and explain to them why the software that they recommend I use, why it bloody doesn't work. It's just not, doesn't seem compatible, doesn't recognise the camera. Maybe they've just ignored all the updates. Maybe they should have been keeping abreast of new technology, new operating systems. But you know, my computer, all singing, all dancing, it's a big powerhouse, and this is just using a USB and not even a 3. So that tells you everything, that Lumens are behind the game, very much behind the game. Bloody hell, sometimes you think to yourself, why can't you just be a bit patient? Why do you look at something and say, oh, you've got a purpose for that, and then go and buy it, only to find out that it was the biggest disappointment of your life? So Lumens CL511, I'm giving it the big Roman thumbs down. Not good. Not good. Appalling. They need to get their act together, do Lumens.